Here's what's happening in Carrington, New Rockford, and surrounding areas on KDAK.
All right, in studio, we're glad to be joined by Kayla Graber, Farm Bill Specialist. Good morning, Kayla.
Good morning.
And also Carl Hoppy, appointed supervisor for the Foster County Soil Conservation District. Good morning, Carl.
Good morning.
And thanks, you guys, for joining us. We appreciate that. Let's see, Kayla, you're up first. We want to talk about some emergency grazing, correct?
Yes. So as of last Thursday, all of North Dakota is listed for the emergency grazing of CRP lands, and that's because all the counties now are officially within a D2 status for drought or within 150 miles. So all of North Dakota is open for CRP grazing. You have to come in and you got to get a modified conservation plan to be able to go out there and graze, and you can graze even though it is nesting season right now. Some of the eligible practices are the CP1, CP2, CP4B, CP4D, CP10, CP18B, CP18C, and CP38, but not the wetlands. Most of the wetland CP practices are not open for eligible CRP grazing. So you can either graze them yourself or you can have one of your neighbors graze them. You just gotta make sure you got fences and water and everything that you would need out there to support a livestock herd. And there will be no CRP rental reductions for the grazed area for the CRP emergency grazing. So you can still mid-contract hay, and you can also donate that hay to your neighbors, or you can keep it yourself with that reduction cost for their mid-contract. And then the other option is routine grazing for CRP. That is every other year, and your contract has to be signed after July 28th, 2010. And let's see. So you got to stop into your NRCS office. You can talk to me, 701-871-7217, or stop into the office so we can get that modified conservation plan, and then you can get some cattle out there, or horses, or sheep, whatever you got.
Okay. Now that's pretty much all of North Dakota. All of North Dakota.
All of North Dakota now
is emergency grazing.
Yep, for CRP.
Okay,
Yep.
for CRP. And to sign up, it's the landowner and the
Producer, the livestock producer. It can be whoever is renting the CRP land, or if you've got just a neighbor who's got some cattle and might be interested in grazing that CRP for you. If it's fenced in and got water for livestock, it should be good to go.
Okay. Now it hasn't yet, but is it? What's that, Carl?
Yeah.
Rate.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the stocking rate. Yeah, that's
Okay.
why you got to come in and talk to us for the modified conservation plan, because we got to figure out the acres. So modified conservation plans, we can talk about how many cattle you can have out there. So
Okay.
that's why you got to come in and talk to us.
Okay. And just stop in and see Kayla there. And then let's see. So as far as payment and everything with the emergency grazing, no reduction in payment then.
Yep.
And that's
for
across all of North Dakota, or just Foster County, or?
That's for the emergency CRP grazing.
Okay.
So just for the emergency CRP grazing. If it's in your
Okay.
contract to graze or hay already, you do have that 25% reduction. But if
Okay.
it's an emergency grazing situation, you do not have that reduction.
Okay. So that's good news. Yeah, just because of the ongoing drought, some areas really dry, some areas not so much. It just kind of hit and miss. Then, I suppose, huh?
But
Okay.
all of North Dakota now. So
all in North Dakota.
yeah. So
Okay.
one other thing really quick for me before we go over to Carl. The district is having a discount rate for the manure spreader that we have for rent through the county. It's going to be $250 a day instead of $300. This runs from July 1st through August 15th. It's a 420 bushel manure spreader with vertical beaters. Your fits either 1 3/8 or 1 3/4 PTOs, and tractor's got to be at least 120 horsepower, so 1,000 RPM. So
Okay.
talk to Dion or call the office, and hopefully we can get you signed up and ready to go for that if you're interested.
All right. Awesome. Kayla, thanks. Anything else this morning then?
I think that about sums it up for me.
All right. Cool. All right, Carl, you're up next. Let's see. This morning we're talking about manure spreading on pasture then, right?
Sure. Well, since the Soil Conservation District does have a manure spreader that has vertical beaters, and what's nice about the vertical beaters is that they disperse the manure particles fairly evenly and finely across a wide area, 30, 40 feet. And so consequently, if you're going to think about spreading now and everything's got crops growing in it, even pasture, but pasture might be able to get through. And if you need to do some yard cleaning, hauling out to pasture and spreading it on the pastures is an option that actually provides some phosphorus and nitrogen and other elements that wouldn't normally be spread out there. So that's an option. And if you do that, you'll see that some of your lighter, poorer soils in a few years will end up having thicker, greener grass because of this manure application. And in the past, you haven't done it because usually we use horizontal beaters that put off a lot of manure in a low area and kind of snuffs out the grass. It'll cover the grass too much and kill it out. Well, with the vertical beaters, it does a nice job of not doing that.
Okay.
Makes a nice even spread. So if you're thinking about doing something like that, here's an option. Dry year, you can get in those lower areas. You don't have to worry about getting stuck. So consequently, one of those things. If you got free time now after spraying and before harvest, a guy can clean some yards if you want.
Okay, sounds good. And then consider cover crops for grazing too, right?
Well, I'm a livestock specialist, so for NDSU, so consequently I always think about grazing opportunities and, well, how we can feed our livestock. And cover crops is one of those things that can be used both for improving soil health, but also for grazing in the fall time. Of course, you need rain for this stuff to grow, but there's other projects in the state that look at cover crops, and one of them is north of the 49th parallel, which would be north of here, quite a few miles. Still in North Dakota, though. And the goal of this is to try a little bit of everything to see what works. And if everybody's creative in how they plant and seed and what type of varieties, after a period of time, they'll get a better feeling for what actually works routinely. You know, you kind of have an idea what will work and what won't work, but this is an opportunity to actually go out and everybody try something. And so stay tuned. There might be some results out of that people can glean from and use in our area too. That's
Okay.
from further north.
All righty. And then let's see, Carrington Research Extension Center tours coming up July 18th, right?
Boy, that's just less than 2 weeks away, isn't it? We've got opportunity to come out to Carrington and the Research Extension Center, part of North Dakota State University, and select a tour to go on that morning and actually be a part of a workshop that afternoon. But we have 4 different tours that occur. We have the traditional agronomy tour. We have the traditional livestock tour. We have an organic tour. And we have the horticulture tour. Now, some people say, so I can't go to all the tours? No, that's by design. You just go to one. And then next year you can come back and go to a different tour. Yeah. There's way more to see. And then everybody has different thoughts and interests. So, us livestock guys, we just got to keep going to the livestock tour. Just because, even though the agronomy tour would be pretty good, it's just the livestock thing. Yeah, so there's new stuff that happens all the time. The organic field day this year, I think, might be a real sleeper because it's got some pretty powerful speakers coming in and a lot of different issues. And stay tuned to listen to people like Steve Zwinger and maybe read the news releases on who else is going to be there. I'll just put out the word Bluestone Barns. Not farms, but barns. Google that or use your internet search, and you'll find out that the person that runs that's going to be out at our Research Extension Center talking during field day.
Okay.
And if you start looking at consumer-supported agriculture and people not knowing where our food comes from, the rest of the world's a lot different than us in North Dakota.
Yeah, that's right. All right, Carl, thanks for coming in. Anything else this morning?
Again, the CRP grazing thing, what an opportunity for us to try to extend our pastures and work it out. If it works nearby, you certainly go to the NRCS office and try to figure out how you can work out the emergency CRP grazing for your cow herd. If anything, it can extend the pastures that you already have, maybe reduce a little bit of pressure on those, and then utilize the CRP for a little cleanup, a little extra good food, and let the cattle graze through and grass, eat, and all those good things that cattle are good for. And I think that's a good idea. Be sure to check it out.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Carl. We appreciate that. All right. This morning, we're glad to be joined by Carl Hoppe, and appointed supervisor for the Foster County Soil Conservation District, along with Kayla Graber, Farm Bill Specialist. All right.